This part of the park was really a place that was pretty neglected, and this was a reflecting pool. I also saw it as a kind of nexus and a focal point of the park that was actually being neglected and that I could re-energize. In the 18th century, at Versailles and at many German palaces, large-scale porcelains were quite a thing. Not this large scale and mostly just vessel shapes, or animal forms, but I really had the desire to challenge the material of the porcelain. Even though this came from the image of a paw, it actually, I always saw it as like a boulder, like a New York City version of a boulder. It's a manufactured version of nature. A park isn't really nature, but it's an idea about nature. And so this is an idea about a feather. The artifice of that is something that I really love, in the way that I really love New York, where we make our own little worlds. And that's why the skirted seats, for instance, are very clearly a drawn version of that. All of these things have a kind of architecture built into it that's not supposed to be hyper real, that's supposed to be metaphoric. Aside from the circular architecture, the other thing that was pre-existing that drew me to this space was Admiral Farragut. I knew that he wasn't a terrible guy, but I was always perplexed by his posture there with his coat flapped open. And, and then there's two women carved into the base of this. I found this endlessly annoying that these women were there, but only in service to him and only as allegories, and that they weren't women that I felt could be points of identification for people right now visiting the park. What I wanted was for it to be a real woman. This is a kind of metaphor for a pool that was once the reflecting pool. And this metaphoric pool, I decided to make, instead of a flat plane, to break it down into these hexagons, because I wanted to have a vocabulary of interiority, of architectonic information that people are familiar with. We understand tiles in New York. We understand pavement in New York. We also understand that this, even if you don't see, is the same hexagon as right here. So I'm like lifting the existing vocabulary from the existing ground onto here. This fragmentary nature of how everything needed to be made in order to be structurally sound is something that I invited and used as part of the vocabulary. We understand that tiles put together, hexagonal squares, need to be segmented, but we don't often see the parts like in a normal way of making sculpture. People would want to get rid of all the parts, and we want to make it seem as if it was magically one thing. And I don't want anything to be magically one thing. I think it's magic that we can make things in parts, and our eye can pull it together and make it whatever we want. The feeling of things being off balance, the feeling of something possibly sliding and being precarious, but actually amazingly dependable and present. And I feel like in a lot of ways that describes the human condition that we all live with. Awareness of our fragility and also our strength.